Rena wiped the sweat from her forehead as she cleaned the grand staircase of the mansion. Her hands were rough from years of scrubbing, her shoes worn thin from walking across shiny marble floors. She had worked in many rich homes before, but this one was different. Quiet. Too quiet. The mansion belonged to billionaire Zayn Malik, a man known for his cold heart and deep pockets. But he was away, traveling in Europe for business. The house was mostly empty, except for a few servants like Rena, the old butler Mr. Kareem, and two quiet cooks. Each maid had been given strict instructions. Never go near the last door at the end of the east hallway. It was locked. It was off limits. But Rena was curious. Too curious. Every time she walked past that hallway, she felt a strange chill. The door was old, dark brown with gold edges. No nameplate, no lights, just silence. But sometimes she thought she heard something. A soft hum, a tiny knock, a whisper. One afternoon, she gathered the courage to ask Mr. Kareem, "Sir, what is behind that locked room?" The butler looked at her sharply. His kind face turned serious. "Do not go near that room, Rena," he said firmly. "That room is not for us. Forget it exists. Do your job, that is enough." Rena nodded quickly, but her mind could not let go. What could be so secret in this house? Why was everyone so afraid of that one room? That night, after dinner, the mansion was silent. The wind outside howled softly. Rena finished her chores and walked down the east hallway. She didn't mean to go near the room, but her feet took her there on their own. She stood in front of the locked door. To her shock, the lock was open. The door was slightly open, just a little crack. Enough to see a soft yellow light coming from inside. Her heart beat fast. She looked around. No one was there. Slowly, carefully, she pushed the door open. It made a soft creak. The room inside was warm, filled with old books, paintings, and a large wooden desk. A soft scent of flowers floated in the air. But what caught her attention was a large photo on the wall, a young woman with kind eyes. She looked familiar. Too familiar. Rena stepped inside. "Hello," she said softly. "No." Answer suddenly something moved in the corner. A shadow. She turned quickly. There was no one there, but then she heard it. A voice. Soft, gentle. Rena. Her name. Her breath stopped. She looked behind her. No one. She froze. Again the voice came. Rena. Her legs trembled. Who was calling her name? She stepped back, ready to run, but then she saw something. A small light blinked near the bookshelf. A red dot. A camera. Someone was watching her. Her heart raced. She turned and ran out of the room, her footsteps echoing down the empty hallway. As she reached the servants' quarters, she saw Mr. Kareem waiting. His face was pale. "You went inside, didn't you?" he whispered. Rena couldn't speak. "You shouldn't have," he said. "He'll know. He always knows." Rena looked at him, confused. Who? Who will know?" Mr. Kareem didn't answer. He turned and walked away, his shoulders heavy. Rena lay in her bed that night, unable to sleep. Her mind was full of questions. Who was the woman in the photo? Why did the voice know her name? And who was watching through the camera? Then she heard a sound outside, a car door closing. She went to the window. A black car had just arrived. A tall figure stepped out. The front door opened. The butler bowed low. The man entered the house quietly. Rena's eyes widened. It was Mr. Zayn Malik, the billionaire. But he wasn't supposed to be home. Not yet. Not for another week. Why had he come back and not now? And why was he staring directly up at her window? Rena pulled her curtain quickly, her hands shaking. Why had the billionaire, Zayn Malik, returned in the middle of the night? He was not supposed to come for another week. Yet there he was, standing outside in the cold, staring up at her window like he knew she was watching. She stepped back from the window, her heart racing. The mansion felt colder now. Quiet, but not safe. Downstairs, the front door closed softly. Zayn was inside. Rena sat on her bed, thinking fast. Had he seen her in the locked room? Did he watch the security camera footage? Would he be angry? Fire her? Or worse? Minutes passed like hours. Then came a knock, not on the front door. On her door. "Rena?" It was Mr. Kareem's voice, low and nervous. "He wants to see you now." She stood up slowly. Her legs felt weak. "Why?" Mr. Kareem looked at her with a warning in his eyes. "Don't ask questions, just follow me." Rena followed the old butler down the long hallway. Her slippers made no sound on the soft carpet. Her mind kept asking, "What does he want from me? Why now?" They stopped outside the same room, the one she had entered. The door was fully open now. Zion stood near, the window facing away. He was tall, dressed in a black coat. His hands were behind his back. "Come in," he said without turning. Rena stepped in slowly, her eyes on the floor. Zion turned to face her. "So," he said softly, "you entered the room." I'm sorry, sir," she whispered. "The door was open. I didn't mean to." "You meant to," he interrupted. "But you were brave enough to step inside. Most people never even knock." Rena stayed silent. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Do you know who the woman in the photo is?" he asked. Rena shook her head. "She was my sister," he said. "She died 2 years ago. In this room." Rena gasped softly. "Before she died," Zion continued, "she said something strange. That a girl with kind eyes would one day open the door. That she would hear her name spoken. And not run." He stepped closer. "You didn't run, Rena. Why?" Rena swallowed hard. "I was scared, but also I felt like I knew her. Like I'd seen her before. In a dream, maybe." Zion studied her face. "What do you believe in, Rena? Ghosts? Signs? Fate?" She hesitated. "I don't know. But something brought me to that door." Zion nodded slowly, as if her answer confirmed something he had long suspected. He walked over to the desk and picked up a small silver box. He handed it to her. Rena opened it carefully. Inside was a note, old and folded. It had her name written on it. Rena. Her breath caught. How is this possible?" she whispered. "My sister wrote that," Zion said. 3 days before she died." Rena looked up at him, fear and confusion mixing in her eyes. "But she didn't know me. I wasn't even here then." Zion looked at her, a strange softness in his expression. "I need you to stay in this house, Rena. I don't know why, but something is not finished here. And I think you are part of it." She wanted to run, she wanted to say no, but deep inside she knew. This wasn't just a job anymore. It was something more, something bigger than her. "I'll stay," she whispered. Zion gave a small nod, but in his eyes a storm was building. He didn't tell her everything. He couldn't, not yet. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, and in the shadows of the mansion, something or someone was watching. Rena didn't sleep that night. The silver box stayed on her small table. She kept reading the note inside, her name written in soft, careful handwriting. Why did Zion's sister write it? How did she know her name? Morning light crept into her small room, but the mansion still felt dark. She got dressed and stepped out quietly. The hallway was silent, but she felt like someone was watching her. Every corner, every shadow seemed alive. In the kitchen, Mr. Kareem was waiting with tea. "She was a kind girl," he said suddenly. Rena looked at him. "Who?" "Zion's sister, Alina," he said, stirring his tea slowly. "She believed in strange things, visions, dreams. She once told me she saw a girl standing by her grave long after her death." Rena felt cold. "Did she say anything else?" Mr. Kareem gave a tired smile. "Just that the girl would help her brother heal." Rena looked down at her hands. "Why is he so cold?" The butler sighed. "Because the world taught him to be. Alina was the only one who made him smile." When she died, something inside him broke. Before Rena could ask more, Zayan appeared at the doorway. "Come," he said. "I want to show you something." She followed him through the mansion to a small private study. The walls were covered with books. A fireplace burned softly. On the table there was a large photo album. He opened it. "Pictures of my childhood," he said. "Me and Alina." Rena leaned in and looked. A young Zayan smiling, a laughing girl beside him. The love between them was clear in the photos. Zayan stopped at one picture. He stared at it for a long time. "She always said we'd find someone who would change everything," he said. "I thought she meant a business partner, a friend." He looked up at Rena. "But now I think she meant you." Rena froze. "Me? But I'm just a maid." "No," Zayan said. "You're something else. I don't know what yet. But my sister knew you before I did. That's not a mistake." He reached into a drawer and pulled out a small dusty journal. "She wrote about you," he said. "Not your name, but she described a girl, brown eyes, quiet strength, a scar on her left wrist." Rena's hand moved to her wrist. There was a small scar there, from childhood. "She wrote that this girl would help protect me from the danger that killed her." Rena felt the room spinning slightly. "She was murdered?" she asked. Zayan nodded once. "Yes, and the killer was never found." Silence filled the room. Then Zayan said something that made her blood run cold. 2 days before she died, she said someone in this house was hiding something, and that they would try again. This time, with me. Rena's eyes widened. "You mean, someone here still wants to hurt you?" Zayan closed the journal. "I don't know who to trust anymore. But I trust one thing, my sister's words. And now I trust you." Rena took a step back. "I don't know if I'm ready for this." Zayan's voice was soft, but firm. "You don't have to be ready. You just have to stay." A strange silence passed between them. Then, suddenly, a loud crash echoed from upstairs. Both of them turned quickly. Footsteps. Running. Then silence. Zayan was already moving. "Stay here." But Rena didn't listen. She followed him up the stairs, heart pounding. In the hallway, a window was open. The curtain blew in the wind. Zayan stepped into Alina's old room. Nothing looked touched, except one thing. The silver locket from her photo frame was gone. Rena stared at the empty frame. "Someone was here," she whispered. Zayan nodded slowly, and then he said the words that made Rena shiver. "They know you're here now." The locket was gone. Rena stared at the empty photo frame in Alina's room. Her fingers trembled as she touched the soft fabric of the curtains, still moving from the open window. Wind blew gently inside, but the chill she felt was not from the breeze. Someone had broken in, someone who knew exactly what they were looking for. Zayan stood still, his jaw tight. "That locket had her initials," he said softly, "and inside it was a hidden letter. Only I knew about it." Rena turned to him. "What kind of letter?" Zayan didn't answer. Instead, he walked out quickly. Rena followed him down to the study. He opened a hidden drawer behind a shelf and pulled out a second journal. Older, dustier. "She wrote a copy," he said, handing it to her. "Alina was always careful." Rena opened the first page. The writing was delicate but rushed, as if Alina was afraid she wouldn't have enough time. "If anything happens to me, don't trust the people closest to you. One of them has already betrayed us. They want your power, Zayan, and they will do anything to get it, even kill." Rena's hand shook. Who was she talking about? Zayan's eyes were dark. "She didn't say, but I have suspects." They were interrupted by a knock at the door. It was Mr. Kareem, the butler. "There's someone here to see you, sir," he said. "Your uncle, Mr. Faraz." Zayan's expression changed instantly, cold, guarded. "Tell him I'm busy." Rena watched the butler's face carefully. He hesitated. He said, "It's urgent." Zayan nodded slowly. "Bring him in." As Mr. Kareem walked out, Rena whispered, "Can he be trusted?" Zayan didn't answer. Moments later, a tall man in a sharp gray suit entered the study. His eyes were sharp, his smile too wide. Zion, he said, you've grown more secretive. Since I last saw you, Zion stood calmly. What do you want, Uncle? I came to see the house, check on your health, pay my respects. Rena could feel the tension between them. Like two lions circling each other, Faraz's eyes moved to Rena. And who's this? My maid, Zion replied shortly. She's trusted. Faraz raised an eyebrow. Trusted? That's a strong word these days. Zion didn't respond. He reached for the journal and placed it quietly in a locked drawer. Faraz's smile faded just a little. Well, he said, brushing off his coat. Be careful who you trust, nephew. Even the quiet ones can be dangerous. And then he left. Rena exhaled. He knows. Zion nodded. He always knows more than he says. Later that night, Rena couldn't sleep again. She walked the halls of the mansion with quiet steps. Something was bothering her. Alina's voice, the way it whispered her name. Why her? Why not someone else? She found herself in front of the locked room again. But this time, the door was open. Slowly, carefully, she stepped inside. It wasn't dark anymore. A soft light glowed from a lamp near the bed. On the desk was a photo, Alina holding a baby with eyes that looked familiar. Rena stepped closer. A name was written on the back. Zara. She frowned. That wasn't Alina's daughter. Alina had no children. Zion had said so. So who was the baby? She turned toward the bookshelf and noticed a loose panel behind it. Curious, she pressed it. It clicked open. Inside was a small wooden box, and inside that, another letter. She unfolded it. To the girl who finds this. If you're reading this, then the danger I feared has returned. The truth is hidden beneath years of lies. But you are the key to everything. You were not placed here by accident. Rena felt dizzy. Her hand shook. She looked around the room again, but everything now seemed different. Less like a place of sadness and more like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hall. She rushed to close the box, but it slipped and crashed to the floor. A figure appeared at the door. It wasn't Zion, it was Mr. Kareem. His eyes went straight to the letter in her hand, and his voice was low and dangerous when he spoke. You weren't supposed to find that. Rena froze. The letter was still in her hand. The wooden box lay broken on the floor. Mr. Kareem stepped closer, slowly, his eyes cold and calm. You weren't supposed to be in this room, he said softly. No one was. Rena backed away. I didn't mean to. You read the letter, he interrupted. Didn't you? Rena's voice shook. What is this place? Why is there a letter with my name? Kareem paused, looking at her carefully. Then, to Rena's shock, he sat down on the edge of the bed. You deserve to know now, he said. The anger in his eyes faded. A sadness took its place. I've worked in this house for 30 years, he began. I saw Zion grow up. I knew. Alina, when she first came here, she was kind, gentle. But she was also smart. Smarter than anyone else in this house. Rena listened quietly, her heart racing. She started noticing things. Kareem continued. Strange phone calls. Documents that didn't match. Money missing. She tried to warn Zion, but he didn't listen. Warn him about what? Rena asked. His uncle, Kareem said firmly. Faraz wants everything Zion owns, he always has. But he can't get it while Zion is alive. Rena's eyes widened. Are you saying he killed Alina? Kareem looked down. I don't have proof, but the night Alina died, Faraz was here. He said it was just a visit. But after that night, everything changed. Rena thought back to the letter. You are the key to everything. You were not placed here by accident. Why me? She whispered. Why am I the key? Kareem looked at her for a long moment. Then he said something that made her legs weak. Because you're not just a maid, Rena. You're her sister's daughter. Alina's niece, Rena gasped. That's not possible. Your mother, Sarah, left this house long ago. She was afraid. She went into hiding to protect you, but when she died, I found you. I brought you back here, quietly, as a maid, so no one would know." Rena stared at him. Everything she thought she knew was falling apart. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, tears in her eyes. "I had to wait," Karim said, "until I was sure you were ready, until the signs appeared. The sounds in this room, the letters. Alina wanted you to find them. She left this path for you." Suddenly they heard footsteps. Karim stood up. "Hide the letter now." Rena shoved it inside her pocket just as the door creaked open. Zayan stood there. He looked at Karim, then at Rena. "I need to speak to both of you," he said. "Something has happened." They followed him to the study. On the desk lay a black envelope. Zayan opened it slowly. Inside was a photo of Rena in the locked room, and a note. "She knows too much. Get rid of her, or I will." Zayan crushed the note in his fist. His eyes burned with rage. "Faraz," Karim muttered. "He's watching." Zayan turned to Rena. "You can't stay here tonight. It's not safe." "I'm not running," Rena said. "I want to fight. Alina trusted me for a reason." Zayan was silent. Then he nodded. "We do this together, but we have to be careful." Karim stepped forward. "There's one more thing. Something I never told anyone." He pulled a small key from his pocket. "This opens a box in the basement. It belonged to Alina. Inside is the final truth." They all looked at each other. The war had truly begun, and the truth, whatever it was waiting below. The mansion was quiet, but every shadow felt like a threat. Rena clutched the small silver key in her hand, her fingers cold from fear and tension. Zayan walked beside her, silent but alert. Karim followed, holding a flashlight. They reached the basement door. It was old and creaky, covered in dust. A lock hung on it like a warning. Rena took a deep breath and inserted the key. Click. The door creaked open slowly, revealing narrow stairs and a deep, dark space below. The smell of damp wood and forgotten memories filled the air. Karim led the way down, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. They stopped in front of a large trunk, covered in a white cloth. Rena pulled the cloth away. The trunk was locked too, but the same key worked again. Inside were papers, photographs, and one old phone wrapped in cloth. Zayan picked up the phone. "It's dead." Rena searched the trunk. Her hand touched a thick brown envelope labeled, "Truth for Zayan, only if I'm gone." She handed it to him. His fingers trembled as he opened it. Inside were printed photos of documents, of men shaking hands, of Faraz and a lawyer signing something in secret. There was a USB drive too. Zayan's face turned pale. "These are ownership papers. Faraz tried to change my will. He forged my signature." Karim stepped closer. "Alina must have found out. That's why she died." Zayan nodded slowly. "And he's trying again. With Rena gone, no one could have stopped him." Rena's voice was firm. "But I'm still here." Suddenly the flashlight flickered. Footsteps above. All three froze. Karim turned off the flashlight. They stood still, breathing quietly. The basement door creaked open. Rena clutched Zayan's arm. Zayan held the USB tightly in his palm. Someone began walking down, 1 step, 2, 3. Then, a voice. "Mr. Zayan, are you down there?" It was a security guard. Zayan answered calmly. "Yes, what is it?" "Mr. Faraz is here. He says it's urgent. He's in your study." Zayan looked at Karim and Rena. "We need to act now, before he destroys this." They climbed up quickly and returned to the study. Faraz was standing near the window, sipping wine. He smiled when he saw them. "Ah, Zayan, I was just checking on the house. I heard some noise." Zayan stared at him coldly. "You've been busy, Uncle." Faraz laughed. "Haven't we all?" Zayan pulled out the USB. "We found Alina's trunk." Faraz's face didn't change, but his grip on the wine glass tightened. "I know what you did," Zayan continued. "The fake will, the lies, the threats to Rena." Faraz's smile faded. Careful, nephew, you're making dangerous claims. Rena stepped forward. Alina trusted me. She left the truth behind, and we're going to show it to the world. Faraz looked at her like she was nothing. You're just a maid. Zion's voice rose. She's Alina's blood, and she's more honest than you've ever been. Faraz dropped the glass. It shattered on the floor. He moved quickly, too quickly. He reached into his coat, but Kareem was faster. He grabbed Faraz's arm and twisted it. A small knife fell from Faraz's hand. The guards rushed in. Zion shouted, "Take him, he's under." "Arrest." The guards looked unsure, but Rena held up the photos. "These are copies, the originals are already sent to the lawyers." The guards obeyed. Faraz struggled, shouting, "You think this is over? You're nothing without your wealth." Zion looked at Rena. "Maybe that's true, but at least we still have honor." Faraz was dragged out. The study became quiet again. Rena looked at the broken glass on the floor. Zion turned to her. "You saved this house. Alina would be proud." Rena smiled, though tears shimmered in her eyes. "She gave me a chance. And now, I finally know who I am." Zion placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're not just a maid anymore. You're family." But just as they felt peace, the phone from the basement buzzed. Everyone stared. It was impossible. That phone had been dead for years. Rena picked it. 41 message showed on the screen. The phone shook in Rena's hand. It was the same old phone they had found in the trunk, dead, dusty and untouched for years. Yet now somehow, it had a message glowing on the screen. "You're not done yet." Zion stared at it, his heart pounding. Kareem stepped forward. "Is it from Alina?" Rena looked confused. "How can it be? She's gone." But the phone buzzed again. A second message appeared. "Check the study painting, behind it." Without wasting a second, Zion rushed to the large painting in the study, an old oil painting of his late father. He pulled it down from the wall. Behind it was a hidden safe. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside was a thick red diary. Rena stepped closer as Zion opened the diary slowly. Inside were pages of Alina's handwriting. Every entry was filled with fear, hope, and truth. She had known what Faraz was doing for years, but had no proof. So she collected everything: names, bank accounts, voice recordings. She even wrote a full confession letter for Zion. And at the very end, a final note. "Zion, if you're reading this, I didn't survive. But Rena, she's your sister. I hid it to protect her from Faraz. She's your father's child, from before your mother. He tried to keep it a secret, but I couldn't. Please take care of her. She is your blood." Zion went silent. Rena froze, unable to breathe. Kareem, whispered, "Your family." Rena shook her head slowly, tears falling. "No, I can't be. I was just a maid." Zion walked to her, his face filled with emotion. "You were never just a maid. You're my sister." He held her hands gently. Alina raised, "You like her own, and now I know why. My father made mistakes, but I won't." They sat quietly for a moment. Then Zion spoke again. "We'll take Faraz to court. These papers, this diary, they'll expose him fully." Kareem nodded. "He won't escape this time." Later that week, news broke all over the city. Business tycoon arrested in inheritance scam. Secret daughter of billionaire found living as maid. The public went wild. Reporters waited outside the mansion gates. But inside, Rena stood in her maid's uniform, staring at the garden where she used to clean every morning. Zion walked up beside her. "You don't have to wear that anymore," he said with a smile. Rena smiled back. "I know, but I want to, for one last time, to remember where I came from." He nodded. "You can choose your own life now. You're free." Rena looked at the sky. "For so long I thought I had no name, no family. Now, I have both." That evening they held a quiet dinner in Alina's memory. No media. No fancy guests. Just Rena, Zion, and Kareem. They lit a candle beside her photo. Zion raised a glass. To Alina, the one who saved us even after she was gone. Rena whispered, "Thank you for everything." The candle flame flickered gently as if Alina's spirit smiled, and somewhere deep in the mansion the locked room stood open, no longer hiding secrets, just peace.